when the Ron Paul thing was going on, you would meet a new Ron Paul supporter, and it was like you met a new best friend, and there was like an instant connection, and there was this energy and this electricity and this culture, and it died with the campaign. So what I've always wanted is to try to recreate that, but in a manner where it doesn't die with the end of a campaign. It's something that can continue on infinitely as long as we keep fighting for it. And I think that's the framework that we have in front of us. So, I still give all the credit to Ron because he's the one who inspired this whole thing. None of it would exist without him. But that's what it's all about. It's not the politics of it. It's not necessarily even the ideas. I think that's secondary to the community and the culture. And how do you guys feel? How do you feel about this community? How do you feel about this energy? I think we've got it.
Yeah, I think that's right. So Angela, when did you first join up with the Mises Caucus guys? Because you were in the Libertarian Party before the Mises Caucus, right?
I ran for Congress in 2017 and was incredibly underwhelmed by the support I got from the party, including the National Party. And I was running in a special election. I was the only person running for office at the time. It was just totally whiffed the ball. And so I believe I joined in October of 2017, basically just as soon as I found out about it.
Right. Well, there you go. All right, beautiful. I guess it took me almost a little while, and I loved you when I heard you on Tom Wood's podcast, Michael, and then I had you on my podcast. This was in 2017, and I was like, I really love what this guy's doing. But almost kind of like what you were saying, Robbie, was in a way, I was like,
he was fucking weird.
I love what this guy wants to do. That's a neat idea. And then just kind of went back to what I was doing. But I think it was it was that event that I had to miss. I think I got sick, and I was supposed to go but wasn't able to go to it. That the event was, do you remember where this event even was? It was one of the first Mises Caucus events that you guys had, maybe in 2018, I want to say.
New Orleans?
Yes, I believe it was the New Orleans event, right? And you had Scott Horton speak there, and Tom Woods spoke there.
Jeff Dice
spoke there. And that was really a big thing for me, where I was like, oh, okay, now this guy who was like, hey, I want to recreate the Ron Paul thing. Oh, he's actually putting on events, and he's actually getting all the people who were involved in this thing to get together with it. And I was like, okay, yeah, I think there's actually something here. And then just seeing the Libertarian Party, seeing what an opportunity they had, and blowing it at every stage. And then I'm sitting here and I'm complaining about it. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm on my podcast and I'm saying, okay, they're doing this, but they should be doing this. And every time I said that, I was right. So I'm just sitting here being right about everything. And it's fun. But then after a while, I'm kind of okay, well, I'm sitting here telling them this is what they should be doing. And you're going well, let's do something about it. And I was like, that sounds like work. And then eventually you were like, all right, I guess I'm being an asshole here. I should jump on board with this. And also after 2020, I thought that was a big turning point, where in 2020, because 2017, you start the caucus. 2018, you go into the convention. You had none of the support from any of us. It was really just the thing you had created, right? It was you and I guess Angela was on board, Josh Smith was on board, and but you didn't have Tom Woods, you didn't have me throwing their support behind it. And you went in there and you got a quarter of the...
We went from 0 to, I think it was 23% in 7 months, and I can't even remember how we did it.
Yeah. And so, now, so that's kind of on your, now then 2 years later in 2020, we had our presidential candidate who we all supported. Now Tom got on board, I got on board, Scott got on board, and we all got behind Jacob Hornberger, who was the front runner. He was winning and just barely didn't become the nominee. And Jorgensen ended up kind of in a really kind of, hey, she's a very nice, honest lady. Always tells the truth.
Put the nation to sleep.
Always tells you things exactly as they were reported to her.
Well, because government is too nosy and too bossy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But so you had this, and I thought that was a really interesting turning point because we were all behind this guy being the nominee. He just barely lost, like was in first place, lost by a strange series of events that ended up going to Jorgensen. And a lot of people said that we would give up at that point. That like if we didn't get who we wanted at that point, we were going to pack it in and go home. And instead, almost everyone I know who was a part of this caucus said now we're doubling down our efforts. And it just kind of like built and got stronger and stronger. And that's one of the things that I think is really cool about this group of people. That we're very much, you know, like I've seen a lot of our critics in this party be like, if they just don't get this, they're going to quit. If they don't get this, they're all going to go home. And it's like they really just don't understand us. Like, we're never going anywhere. This is our fucking life mission. Like, we're going to keep doing this. And to watch where it's come in the last 2 years has been really, really incredible.
I mean, I've told this story before, but the point where I really realized this is going into the 2020 convention in Orlando, I frankly didn't expect much good to happen. I kind of knew going in that I didn't think we had it and all this stuff, and I was really, really scared, and I was really concerned about like holding everything together. How are we going to keep people's motivation up and all of this? And then there was basically 2 days of wasted time. Don't let them waste time tomorrow. But there was basically 2 days straight of wasted time, and the only piece of business that got done that Saturday was the chairs race, and Josh unfortunately didn't win, which did not bode well for anything else to come after that. So I was really nervous. I'm like, man, everyone's going to be like, I knew it, the LP's a joke, fuck politics, you know, like all this stuff. And instead what happened is we had rented Airbnbs for some of our delegates, and one of those Airbnbs threw a fucking rager. And I showed up to that rager thinking, man, I'm going to have to do something. You know, I'm going to have to blow some people or something to keep them motivated. And none of the things that I was afraid of actually existed. Everybody was just happy to be there, happy to be around each other.
You only had to blow them for fun.
Yeah. Exactly. But everyone had a great time, and they were just happy to be around each other. And that's when I realized that it's actually the community element that is driving things.
Yeah.
And it's just exploded ever since then. So I think no matter what happens, as long as we have that community, it's going to keep driving on and on and on.
Yeah, I completely
As
agree.
a king of the Caucus and a...
Yes?
No, I mean this as a silent observer. When you came on the show and you had a wild idea of let's actually get involved, and like you said, we're lazy and we're like, I don't really want to do that. But you kept fucking pushing and pushing and pushing. You won over Dave, you won over individuals, and everywhere we go, I mean, I can see the momentum of this movement. Like, we were not filling venues like this 3 years ago. People weren't coming up to me talking politics with like a glow in their eye about what we're building. Like, I'm telling you, I can feel the momentum. It's off of what you're building.
You've gone from stoops to porches.
There you go. And beyond...
I'll be honest, I thought Rob was funnier in his stoops phase.
No, but...
It doesn't translate to porches.
Beyond the momentum, we're bringing out like fun people, and we got a message of freedom, which no one else is preaching.